Right, welcome everyone. It's November 1st, 2023, number 93 of the community calls. I'm Mark Duiker, your community manager. We have quite a busy schedule again today. We have like a couple of talks and also something nice to introduce to you. First, we are going to have like Ben Snyder talking about dynamically create multi-app run files. Then you have Jon Schneider talking about AWS Lambda Sidecars with Dapr. I'm very curious about that. Then we have the PubSub Canary proposal by Ollie Tomlinson. Then I will announce the new Dapr Community Supporter badge that you can all claim now. And then we have the regular topic like the community show and tell. And of course, if time permits, there's some room for an open discussion. All right, so I'll leave it up to you, Ben.
Okay, thank
I
you.
will stop sharing.
So everything we're going to cover here today is going to be going to follow up with a GitHub repo and some sample code, so everybody will be able to run that. Can you see my screen okay? I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay, so we'd like to first start with a thank you to one of our clients and in our global logistics for sponsoring a lot of our work and a lot of the innovation that we've been doing and working with Dapr on their product lines. We'll probably follow up with a case study in a future community call. So thanks. One of the technologies that we're going to be highlighting today is NX. We've been using NX probably since release 6, so a lot of different years. It's an amazing polyglot tool for DevOps and for CI. If you haven't looked into it, I recommend that you do. You can pretty much write in any language, and it's going to help you. We love it. There's a plugins registry where you'll find a lot of different support for different languages and frameworks. The demo that we post will have a number of different languages, and we'll demonstrate how our tool works with all that. We are heavily integrating YARP into our workflow, which is great. You'll see how that reverse proxy and some of the capabilities of using middleware with it, with some of the transformation of HTTP calls, et cetera, and using dev certs, et cetera. One of the plugins from the registry on NX is nx.net. We use it on a lot of our .NET builds and in our mono repos and love using it. Craig Capola is a great guy, very responsive in the issue queues. Definitely recommend that you check that out. We're also using Caddy server. Caddy really makes it easy for HTTP2 and HTTP3 and at the edge, and migrated from it from doing a lot of Nginx installs. Definitely use a lot of traffic and whatnot in Kubernetes, but Caddy's just a pleasure to work with. And just recently, actually in the last week, we've been using this repo quite a bit, and this will be in the code that we post for others to take a look at. Caddy Docker proxy. It allows you to basically use labels and has support for Docker Swarm, which we're using a standalone mode if you're doing a single VM, as well as with multi-host, etc. And then one of the tools that we're using is this PowerShell YAML inside of PowerShell scripts. We try to make everything cross-platform, and PowerShell just seems to be the easy way to go for that. The ultimate result of where we land is we run a lot of our development services for NNR, and in the other code bases that we use this in Docker containers, but they have been running in with multi-app on production and staging. I'm not sure if it was intended for that, but we've been using it multi-app run on our staging servers and our production servers, and we're moving over to containers. So part of this journey and part of the tooling is really about making it easy for developers to use multiple code bases, multiple languages, adopt Dapr, and make their way towards containerization in Kubernetes in the end. One of the things I want to point out that we're inspired by, certainly this article, haven't gotten to this yet, but this is intended. We want to add some middleware into our YARP implementation to be able to offload directly to Dapr. So API 6, this article and everything, thank you. And we'll be taking some inspiration. There's some other utilities that I'll post that are available here on this on these GitHubs, one for expanding environment variables and other things. And this is all utilized with Deno in our make scripts, and that'll be in the repository as well. So let me go ahead and just get right into it. Enough lead up. Hopefully nothing's broken in the past 10 minutes. So just to cut right into it, this is a get ignored file right here, dapr.development.dynamic.yaml. And we have it get ignored because it's a generated file. What we do with NX, I won't make this too long getting into the way that NX works, etc. But during your dev cycles, you run NX run, right? And then you have the name of your project. So for example, we have all of our runtimes in this repository organized under the apps folder. And so where you'll see every CS proj, you'll also see a project.json. And this is fundamental to how NX works. And you'll see the name of the project. There's build targets, and then you have different configurations. We have production staging. We have several different development servers. And then you have your executor, which runs your .NET command, what framework, all these things. During the build process, you have outputs, right, intermediates, etc. So we have targets in here for building containers. We also have targets in here for publishing as well as for serving. So the essence of how this works is that you define your commands with NX run commands, whether it be a .NET Core project or whether it be a Node.js project or Rust project, whatever it be. The ones prefixed with Edge in this case are Node.js projects, and the syntax is all the same for NX run. The issue that we ran into is you can see we've got a lot of different services, and developer workstations keep having to get larger and larger and larger, but more powerful in order to run the full stack at once. And we got to a point with our latest release where we just wanted to run one or two things at a time on a developer station and not have in a mono repo type setup everything try to hot reload all at the same time when we're running. So that was really the need that necessitated this. What we did was we standardized on creating one service. This is a node, but we're planning on moving it into Rust. And its job is to really boot first and load up the Redis cache with configuration management and environment variables, etc. So you have this dev file, you have this config file, and then you have static. So static basically takes for .NET, it takes your published or your built DLLs or EXEs, and you define the exact same stuff, right? But just where you're running it directly, and you don't have all the overhead of the dev cycles. So this script right here, it's pretty short and sweet. I think it's under 120 lines. It can probably be improved. I'm sure there's a lot of ideas, but this is something we came up with for our projects. And what it allows you to do in this make file, you can see that we reference this script, and then we reference the output, the get ignored file where we want to run our dynamic file, and then we run Dapr run f, right? So we say reference this dynamic file when you run. And then when we stop, we're stopping that file. So we have a number of different developers that have created their own make commands to start up, their different configurations of what they're working on. This works really well for our team. And just what I have to show you here today is this demo. What we're going to do is we're going to pass in the name of this project here, and we want this one to run in dev mode. And then we're referencing this config app, which is going to run in dev mode effectively, right? We're going to optimize this, but and then anything in the static app array will load directly from the DLL or in Node.js from the main.js, right? And it just pretty much starts instantly. So you can see down here under everything.start, this has a very long list of down here, it has a very long list of all the apps that we would start up. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and just run it quick. Okay, so that's the stop command, dynamic stop, and then we'll run demo.start. So what it's going to do is we wrote this other make command Dapr dynamic up. Dapr dynamic up brings up the Docker compose file. I actually commented out like 1,000 lines in this Docker Compose file because well, actually, just last night we just released the beta. we got the whole Docker Compose working last night. So I plan on separating it out into different Docker Compose files so that it'll work in both modes. But we have Dapr defined here in the Docker Compose. We're using variables that are loaded from the env. So that'll come up before it'll sleep for several seconds, and then it'll start the services that are generated in here. And here, just before I get going, allow me to clear this file. And then I think when I run this, you should see it generate. So I have to, yeah, there you go. So it starts my Docker services. Let's take a look here. They come up in the Docker Compose. Yep, Redis placement and Zipkin. So those are up. And then you see here, it started these other apps. And under our Dapr logs, our startup process has a bunch of log output right now for this, but you can see it started on this port. And these services started on this port. It outputs a lot of environment variables. I probably have to change some passwords there. And then here's our config, right? So this, the error up top, don't worry about it. But if I scroll to the bottom, you can see that this has started. So the net result is we should have localhost 322.81, I think. It should have output, but I'll have to go. Well, anyway, it's a localhost version of this, right? I don't want to take up too much more time. And you'll see that it loads it from the 127.0.0.1 address. So just a couple other things that I'll comment on before I leave my part of the session here. Let me pull up. I am on a VPN. Let me pull up one of our servers. Yeah. One of the ways that we're achieving this, and this will be included in the reference code that we put up, is we are using YARP, like I said, and we're using YARP in-memory configuration. So we actually dynamically generate, you can see here, these are all the services, and we're using environment variables to load in the path that YARP will use. And then we have an API prefix. And basically what we do is we dynamically generate and we handle whether we're running in multi-app run mode or whether we're running in a container, because you have to use either an IP or the host names inside the container. And we're dynamically generating in memory the clusters for YARP. We can slip in there the middleware and we can transform the requests as they come across. Everything in our implementation is full HTTP3. We're generating dev certs. We're serving all the Node and the .NET services on HTTPS directly. And then what I feel like I'm probably drifting here. But let's go to Dapr. I think Docker Compose, yeah. Then we'll finish up. What we're doing here is Caddy is handling at the very edge of the proxy. It's generating certificates. It's in swarm mode, and this is the manager. And then as you scroll down here and we have our services, we're using app protocol, and this variable is HTTPS, right? It loads in the environment variables, and this basically serves on the Azure VM. So it works in both modes, Dapr multi-run, and it works in when deployed on a server. So we're gonna refactor our this code, and we're gonna throw it up on a Git repo and share it with the community and welcome some feedback. And if there's any useful bits that can make it into a Dapr 1.13 release, or just help other people out with a sample app and reference code, then that's great.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Sure.
You've already showed us a lot on it, and when I saw this you had your tweet like a couple of weeks ago, I was really amazed. Oh wow, you're taking this multi-app run to the next level with this.
The key thing is the developer productivity and developer experience. Having 5 to 10 people, and people are taking minutes to start up their apps, and it just makes it really a pleasure to be able to start your supporting services instantly, and then only focus on what you're working on.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, and if you have anything to share, you can do it either in this chat, but you can also send me the link, so I will include them in the YouTube description later.
I plan on tweeting them out in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah. We'll do that. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions for Ben? Yeah, Paul likes it in the comments.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Okay. I suggest we move on with Jorn Schneider about AWS Lambda Sidecars with Dapr.
All right. Thank you. Let me share my screen. Maybe actually before I share my screen, let me thank you all for coming to see my clickbait. No, kidding, it's not clickbait. I'm going to show you Dapr Sidecars with Lambda, but this is all just to show you a feature that we released in Dapr 1.11, which allows you to set the address of the application that Dapr is connecting to. So before that, Dapr was set to work with localhost addresses. But now you can actually configure Dapr to work with external resources that might sit somewhere else, or even locally on your network, but with a different address. And so this can come in handy when you want to debug Dapr and other compute environments, for example, that are not Kubernetes. So let me show you how that works. Let me know when you can see my screen. You should see a terminal.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Cool. So let's start out with my AWS console. I have this Lambda instance here. You can see it's Node.js, environment, real simple, hello from Lambda. I'm just going to execute it. Hello from Lambda, nice latency there. And yeah, it's working. And I can then take a look at CloudWatch, which is going to tail the logs of this Lambda function so that we can see what's going on here. I am not gonna kick this off right now. Let me just restart the session. Yeah, cancel it. All right, so I have this Lambda function, and I have Dapr running locally on my machine, right? So this is my local machine. And what I'm gonna do right now is launch a Dapr sidecar. So I'm gonna do Dapr run, and let's go over this command. This command, for those of you who do not know, is a CLI command that allows you to run a Dapr sidecar in combination with your application, or just run a local version of the sidecar. So what this is going to do is it's only going to launch an instance of the sidecar running locally on my machine without any application. This is a Dapr app ID. Dapr gives unique identities to applications and infrastructure. So I'm going to give this ID here, I call it Lambda FN. This can really be anything. I'm going to set the port that Dapr is going to listen on when I invoke it to do something, like, for example, publish a message or do service invocation. And this is really what I want to show you all today. This is what you can do starting Dapr 1.11. This is called app channel address. And with this, you can actually tell Dapr to send events that it's sending to the application, whether service invocation or bindings events or PubSub events, to an address that is not on localhost, or to be more specific, 127.0.0.1, which it was up until 1.11. And you actually get this URL here, which is the URL for our Lambda function. It doesn't include the HTTP schema. Here we're telling Dapr, hey, use an HTTPS schema. And this is the port for my Lambda function, which is app port 443. So let's kick this off. And yeah, Dapr is up and running, which means I now have a local sidecar on my local machine that can route and send events to the Lambda instance that I have running here. So let's try and do that. Let's start tailing the logs. Good. So we see on the AWS console that's waiting to log events. And now I can go into Postman and issue a local call to my local Dapr sidecar. So now I'm simulating a call that is invoking this Lambda function, and this might be any other Dapperized application. It can be just a line of business app that I have running anywhere that the Dapr sidecar is running. So in this case, it would be my machine, but it could also be, for example, an EC2 instance or an application running Dapr on an EC2 instance. So I'm gonna invoke Dapr, and I'm gonna do /invoke here, which is the Dapr API for invoking different services. I'm gonna give it the name of my Dapr instance. That's Lambda function, the app ID. I give my app, and this is the method here. All right, so I'm gonna do that, and we're getting back a request. So I have a local Dapr instance that basically forwarded the request into the Lambda instance in the cloud. And this is useful for debugging. How realistic is that for production? We'll talk about that in a second. The TLDR, the spoiler for that is not very much, but we'll talk about that in a second. So we have Hello from Lambda, and if we go back to CloudWatch, we can see the logs here. CloudWatch logs refresh pretty quickly. Yes, and they're kind of nice. So yeah, we were just able to send an event from my local machine to this Lambda instance. If I were to use PubSub, it would also show, I think, I didn't actually try this, but if I go to Zipkin, yeah, we can even see the trace here. So we've got tracing, and this is Lambda instance. But if I go to dependencies, we'll see a single, yeah, we see a single dependency here, and that is my Lambda instance. Why do I not see someone calling it? Because I didn't use a Dapperized application to send a trace header to the sidecar that routed the request into the Lambda instance. It was all done through by calling the sidecar directly. So if I had a Dapperized application, either through PubSub or sidecars, I would have seen it here. Yeah, so this is nice, but again, to run something like this in production, you're going to run into a host of issues. Because unfortunately today we don't have like a managed Dapr service that can be run in any cloud or in any region inside of your VPC. So what you'd have to do is basically set up your own EC2 fleet, install Dapr there using self-hosted mode, and then be on the hook for configuring the entire lifecycle of the VMs, the security, the patching of it, and even Dapr itself, finding a way to run Dapr self-hosted mode, configuring the addresses, making sure the sidecars come back up, come back down, making sure they're configured to telemetry and all of that good stuff. So yes, for some it might be applicable, but this is also good for like local dev test scenarios. If you just want to test out integrations to see how your, for example, Lambda functions respond to some events that you're actually expecting to get from other sources, I think this can be a really easy way to use Dapr for a local dev test with these cloud resources. But then again, remember, you can set Dapr to work against any endpoint. This has just been an example talking to Lambda, but anything that has a address that you can connect to is applicable for this scenario. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now. And back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Jeroen. I like the very subtle hints there. Any questions about this? I'm definitely going to try this out, Anit, yeah. Right. If no questions, then we should continue to the PubSub Canary proposal by Oliver Tomlinson.
Hey, folks. Just going to share my screen. Cool. Is my screen sharing okay there?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Ollie Tomlinson, Dapr user, adopter, community member. And I'm going to talk briefly about a proposal that I've kind of been sitting on for a couple of months now. And it's mostly been driven out of some challenges that I've observed in the Dapr community when people are trying to adopt Dapr, particularly PubSub, and also some lessons from internally from my own teams when they've been trying to adopt PubSub too. So everyone is new to Dapr at one point in their life, and PubSub is one of the most attractive features that Dapr offers. It's up there on the survey that was recently done. It's very up there. So it's inevitable that everyone tries it at some point. Unfortunately, PubSub, just by virtue, isn't straightforward. It requires a couple of moving parts. And depending on what your PubSub implementation is, what chosen component you use, that can be easier or harder. You need two sidecars, you need the publisher app, you need a subscriber app, you need an app channel established in between the two. So there's a few things that need to be correct, basically, for you to get PubSub working. And on the forums, I get probably 1 in 2 issues that come up in the PubSub forums is about, I've published a message and it's not hitting my subscriber. What is the problem? And it's actually a really sticky one, because we don't know. When we're seeing your messages on the Discord forum, we don't know what your infrastructure's like. We don't know your setup. So it's very difficult to diagnose the issue quickly. It takes time. You have to go through the motions. And that means if the customer doesn't have this kind of, the customer has got to have some kind of setup, some end-to-end setup to try it all. So my proposal here is about kind of short-circuiting what's needed to validate that the PubSub communication between 2 Dapr sidecars is working. So that it's more like this. So we're taking the apps out of the equation, basically. We're just focusing on the 2 sidecars and the PubSub connection between themselves. So the beauty of that means we don't have to set up an app channel. And for anyone that's new, particularly operators, when they're first trying to install a PubSub component, they might not have a subscriber to validate any of this through. They've been told, hey, I need PubSub. Can you deploy it to a cluster? Can you make it work? Well, without an app to actually bind it to on the app channel, it's not possible to validate that it's working. Even if you bring up your sidecars successfully and you get the successfully initialized message, doesn't necessarily mean PubSub's going to work, because PubSub generates runtime issues that don't occur until you physically publish the message, which is 1 step on. So my PubSub proposal is basically to isolate the sidecar away from the apps. And by doing so, we can easily rule in or rule out that it's some kind of early configuration problem with PubSub, and it's not an app channel concern. So it's nothing to do with the apps, and it's nothing to do with serialization either, because that's often a problem, is people are publishing in formats that don't deserialize and then don't deliver to the subscriber. So this is about narrowing down what the problem could be, rather than spending ages shotgun approach trying to figure out where the problem is. If first we can validate the infrastructure, then that's 1 step closer to pointing us in the direction that it might actually be an app channel issue. So the proposal here is really simple. I'm going to spin up, to show this, I'm just going to spin up a publisher app and a subscriber app, like that. And all they've got, all the components that are installed at this point, is a out-of-the-box Redis component and a subscriber. But this won't work because there's no app channel. I've not told the subscriber to bind to an app. So to get around this, I've made a change to Dapr, and now you can say Canary true on your subscription YAML. And in the background, this basically creates like a virtual subscriber. So it's not there. There is no app channel. There is no app. But Dapr thinks there is an app. And you get this little confirmation message here saying Canary subscription is enabled on the following topics. Order topic. So now I can hit the order topic with a little bit of a convention at the end. So if I want to publish to the orders topic with an override for the metadata cloud event type of dapr.canary, send that. Come on, work, please. Okay, sorry, it's something's not working right. Why is this not working? Let me try and do this in Postman. So if I send this in Postman now, we actually get a little message here from the sidecar, from the subscriber sidecar, saying, hey, the Canary has been received. And there is the cloud event ID. So this has allowed me as a user to say, right, my infrastructure between the two sidecars is correct. My PubSub's configured correctly. My sidecars are configured correctly. And I've not had to implicate any app channel or any user code. This is all just CLI stuff at this point. And my hope is that with this, we can help customers and users diagnose their issues better by saying, hey, have you tried if this is a brand new setup, have you tried validating that your infrastructure is correct before you go any further? Because we can't be sure at this point. And to go a step further, I've extended the CLI to make it even more convenient. So they don't even have to create a subscription YAML. I've added a new flag called Canary subscriber, and then you pass it a PubSub component name and a topic right there. Oops. Sorry. To make it even simpler, that little flag there basically does the same thing as what it would be declaring an entire subscription YAML like that. So it's a shortcut, it's a convenience to get the same net effect of having a virtual subscriber initialized. And this also works over the top with a real app channel. So if I was to run this with a actual app channel established and set it to Canary true, Canary messages would terminate in the sidecar, as I've just showed through the message, but any non-Canary messages would just go straight through to the app channel as it would do in any normal setup. So it's kind of it's versatile in a way, because you could overlay it on top of a system that's already in production or a development environment out there if you wanted to. So yeah, I'm looking for feedback. If anyone thinks there's a cool idea or could be better, or just please let me know. Please add some feedback to my PubSub Canary proposal. Happy to take questions, or we can move on.
I have a comment.
Go.
This is your own. I want to read to you a message that was sent in our internal Slack 5 hours ago exactly. I'm not going to share my screen, but I am going to read it to you as is. So the message reads, what is the easiest way to find out what is going on if you're publishing an event for a PubSub topic and a registered subscription is not picking up any message? Yes, so this really goes on to show how important this is. For a very long time, I wanted to make PubSub much more debuggable, because to me it's like an airport experience where you go in, you check in your luggage and you get like a tag, and then you don't know where your luggage is, but you want to know that it arrived to its destination, and if not, what's happening to it. And I think this goes a long way in enabling that developer experience. So yeah, like keeping track about what happens with asynchronous messages, I think is extremely important, not just to Dapr. Like this is something that is really important for any PubSub system. And this can actually apply to, all of the Dapr PubSub components that are supported. So yeah, I personally really support this.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw the same Slack message and I immediately copy-pasted your proposal there. So yeah, I think this is also well-timed. And yes, I do see need also not only this, but I think you need the Dapr CLI can benefit a lot from like more testing and debugging capabilities, right? More verification capabilities to make the developer experience even better. So I think this would be a great start of doing that.
Yeah, and hopefully it's kind of a low. It doesn't add much to the surface area of Dapr. It doesn't change much. It's just a little bit of trickery really to make it fake the app channel. Yeah, that's it. Cool. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. So please, everyone, upvote and or comment on it to the issue that was just posted. All right. Now it's my turn. Share my screen. Because we finally have a collaboration with Holopin. I'm not sure if you heard about them. It's very similar to Credly, but I would say more fun. I've created a Dapr Community Supporter badge. So because of the cooperation that we have now with Holopin, we can create digital badges for our Dapr community. And this will be the first that we open up for everyone who thinks that they are a Dapr Community Supporter. So anyone here in the call, feel free to claim this badge by scanning this QR code or by going to this link here, Dapr Supporter. We'll be sharing this all in all social channels as well very soon. And this is just a start, right? Because I'm still planning to make a broader community championship program for the Dapr community. So we'll also do a lot more when people like contributing to code or contributing to docs or finding bugs. But it's just like a first start for digital badges for Dapr. And let me quickly show you the Holopin platform. So with Holopin, you have like a digital board, so you can think of it as your laptop. Some people like stickers on laptops. I'm definitely one of those people. But now you can do the same thing with Holopin. I've got like 3 different digital badges, which I have now on my virtual board. And you can also share these badges either on GitHub or on different social platforms. So we now have a Dapr organization here on Holopin. And like a couple of weeks ago, we did like a small proof of concept for the Grace Hopper celebration, where people collaborated on the open source day and contributed to Dapr. So those were awarded this badge, but this one is now for everyone to claim.
I've actually seen people open issues in the Dapr repository asking for the Holopin without making any contributions. So I think people are liking that.
Oh, this is definitely for everyone. You don't have to do the contributions. There will be other badges for that, but yeah, this is one, and it is easy. Yeah,
I think we need to make it clear that you can get that without necessarily supporting,
exactly.
Contributing to the project, but it'd be really nice if you did.
Of course. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There'll be like an official tweet about this later this week to explain that. Yeah.
What other ones do you have planned, do you think?
Well, what I mentioned, right? If you like to do code contributions or docs contributions, or you find bugs, but also if you do knowledge sharing, if you give like workshops or presentations, so more in the education area. So I've got definitely like 4 or 5 different badges planned. Yeah. So more on that in the next year. All right. If there are no further questions on that, then I'd like to continue with the community show and tell. All right. First, a couple of blog posts. Again, I'm going to switch back here. The first one from Paul Sneckenberg about mostly Microsoft Radius, but this article also mentions Kida, Copa, and Dapr as well. Definitely a good read. Oh, no, thank you. Then there was the announcement blog post of the public preview launch of the Dapr extension for Azure Functions. So yeah, if you're a big serverless fan, definitely check this out. Then on Medium, Simardeep Singh wrote Unleashing the Power of the PubSub Model for Microservices Communication. It's a nice graphics. And on the Dygrid blog, we wrote about that the Dygrid, but also Dapr is present at KubeCon North America very soon. And there are actually several individual events there. First on Monday, there's App DeveloperCon. The name really implies it, definitely for developers in the cloud native space. And there are some Dapr related talks there. One from Mauricio and Oleg about Dapr and test containers. Lightning talk by Bilkan Ibriam, and Dapr Workflow talk by Alice Gibbons and Kendall Roden. On the same day, there's also the Dapr product update session. So that's at 1 that Monday. And I will be there, Mark will be there, Arthur will be there, but I think some other people, some other maintainers will be there as well. And then on the main event, there again are some Dapr related sessions. Achieving functional quality in a multi-cloud runtime by Arthur and Jeroen, and again a Dapr workflow session by Mark and Chris. So lots of Dapr stuff going on at KubeCon. Right, continuing on YouTube in the last 2 weeks, there was one new video from Loong Dai, the state and future of WebAssembly in Dapr. Then on Twitter, some couple of posts by Michael Yuan, he's writing a book, and one of the projects that the book covers is using Dapr in Rust and WASM microservices. Then a Java-based sample was made by Eberhard Wolf. I've included all the links in here. I'll also include the links in the description later. Chris mentioned Dapr. He's one of the authors of Dapr Workflow, and apparently was working on his KubeCon demo. Definitely looking forward to seeing that. I was at NDC Porto 2 weeks ago, also talking about Dapr Workflow. Then Kendall was at API World, also talking about Dapr Workflow, and got also some very nice responses on that talk. So well done, Kendall. Then last week I was at SweatArc in Sweden, giving 2 Dapr sessions, one intro session and again a Dapr workflow session. Dapr workflow sessions are very popular lately. Then William Liebenberg is giving a session today in Melbourne. This probably already was done. Then Marisa tomorrow is a host at DevOps Toolkit on YouTube. So if you want to ask him some questions about Dapr and building fast platforms, then please join that live stream tomorrow. And again, some announcement blog posts for App Developer Con. These 2 were reposted. The session I already mentioned, right? Dapr workflow session, and the session about the test containers and Dapr. So that's the show and tell section. I'll also copy the links in the show and tell Discord later. But if you find something yourself, please also feel free to post it there. And either if you created it or if you found something that someone else wrote, please post it there so we can all share and learn from it. Any questions about these sessions or anything else that comes to mind? I see mentions about NFTs. Yeah, no, the Holopiness is not an NFT based platform. That's an important detail that I did not mention yet.
Thank you for the clarification.
But indeed, good point. Yeah. No, I want to stay far away from that. So no, it's not NFT based. Stop sharing. Anything else? Anyone here coming to KubeCon next week? I know a lot of people from Digrid are.
Yeah, if you're at KubeCon, we'd love to see you. Yeah, make it to the Dapr project meeting on Monday that Mark mentioned. That'll be a lot of fun.
All right, there's also nothing new in the chat. So yeah, if that's it, please, thank you. And I'd like to see you at the next community update. Enjoy your day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Cheers, everyone.